Dust Creek, Colorado, was a rugged town carved into the mountain's ribs. Life there revolved around three things: faith, family, and gold. And no one embodied that trifecta more than Elijah Eli Rowe. Eli was a third-generation gold miner, a wiry man with calloused hands, blue-gray eyes that held stories, and a smile as warm as a campfire in January. He was the kind of man who fixed his neighbor's roof without being asked, left gold flakes on bar tabs, and called his mother every Sunday without fail. So when Eli didn't show up to the Wednesday poker game at the Copper Mule, his weekly ritual with the same 5 old-timers for 15 years, the town took notice. When he wasn't seen at the mine the next day or the diner the day after that, people started to worry. By Saturday, Sheriff Maynard, his childhood friend, was leading a full-scale search. His rusting Chevy pickup was found a mile from his mine shaft, keys still in the ignition. His gear was missing, but there was no sign of struggle. Just silence, wind, and dust. Investigators suspected the worst, a random act of violence. Maybe Eli ran into an illegal drifter operation, or perhaps he crossed paths with someone desperate and armed. Dust Creek wasn't immune to crime, but nothing like this had happened in decades. Sheriff Maynard requested state police support. They brought dogs, helicopters, and forensic techs. Nothing. The only oddity was Eli's cabin, neat as a pin, save for a small cracked photo frame face down on the kitchen floor. The picture, once upright on the mantel, held a faded photo of Eli with a woman no one in town recognized. Maynard picked it up with trembling fingers. "He never mentioned her," he murmured. "The secrets beneath the soil." As the investigation deepened, secrets began to leach from the town's bedrock, like poison from ore. First came the letters. Discovered hidden beneath a loose floorboard in Eli's cabin. They were written by a woman named Lila Jennings, a name that didn't appear in any town record. The letters spanned over a decade, filled with longing, regret, and promises that were never kept. Eli had another life. According to the postmarks, Lila had been living in Taos, New Mexico. Sheriff Maynard drove down personally. There he found Lila, mid-40s, sharp-eyed, and weary. "We were engaged," she confessed, 20 years ago, but he couldn't leave Dust Creek. Said his family needed him. Said the mine was in his blood. "We kept in touch, off and on, until a year ago." Why the letters stopped was a mystery. Lila had last heard from Eli months ago, when he said he'd finally found something worth leaving for. The truth revealed. Back in Dust Creek, things took a darker turn. Sheriff Maynard noticed odd transactions on Eli's bank statements. Large cash withdrawals starting 6 months prior. Then a break came. A trail camera set up near an old trail close to Eli's mine had captured something strange. A man in a heavy jacket, walking with purpose away from the site the night Eli disappeared. It was Jasper Rowe, Eli's younger brother. Jasper had left town years ago after a falling out with Eli over the mine. While Eli had worked the mine with his bare hands, Jasper had squandered a share of the inheritance on failed ventures and booze. When confronted, Jasper confessed. Eli had discovered a new vein, one that could have made them both millionaires. But Eli had plans: sell the mine, leave Dust Creek, and finally be with Lila. He offered Jasper a small cut if he stayed quiet and let go of his claim. But Jasper wanted it all. He followed Eli into the mine that night. Words turned into shoves. A lantern fell. Eli slipped down a shaft. Jasper panicked. Instead of calling for help, he sealed the shaft, took the gold, and began quietly selling it out of town under a fake name. Aftermath. Jasper was arrested, and Eli's body was recovered weeks later from the collapsed shaft, a single gold nugget clutched in his hand. The town was stunned. Some couldn't believe Jasper was capable of it. Others said they saw it coming. Dust Creek held its collective breath as they buried Eli beneath a towering pine tree on the edge of town, the same tree where he carved his initials as a child. Sheriff Maynard stood beside Lila at the service, who had returned to say goodbye. "I wish he'd left with me," she said softly, tears sliding down her weathered cheeks. "He never really left," Maynard replied. "He was the mountain." Epilogue. Months later, the mine was bought by a cooperative of Dust Creek residents. They named it Rowe Ridge in Eli's honor. Lila stayed in town, opening a small bookshop in his cabin, where his letters were eventually compiled into a collection titled Gold Beneath the Dust. And sometimes, on a quiet evening, you can still hear the clink of a pickaxe echoing from the hills, echoes of a man who never stopped digging for more than gold. He was digging for a way out,